Dear Princess Sunbutt, Letter 98.
Dear Princess Whitesnake, here I go again. No matter how many times I get burned, I just keep shoving my metaphorical hands back into the fire. The summary of this letter is as follows. I'm dumb, and did a series of dumb things. What started as a piece of fruit lodged in a windpipe quickly spiraled into at least one death and a plague of semi-sentient, omnivorous, vomiting clouds. No, that's not a hyperbole. I'm talking clouds in the sky eating random shit and spewing it back out as vomit. I'm sure you have several questions, so I'll do my best to explain. Get comfy. This is a long one. The girlfriend and I were on a picnic, right? Eating food, holding hooves, touching butts, typical gay picnic stuff. Trixie Sticks thought it would be romantic to feed each other, so she floated a couple of grapes into my insatiable maw. When it was my turn to feed her, I grabbed a plum and rammed it into the back of her throat before she could even chew. You might be asking yourself, Twilight, why on earth would you do such a thing? The answer is simple. I'm dumb. The horse gods gifted me with the magical equivalent of retard strength, and most of the time I'm pretty K at keeping it in check. Today, however, I lost control because I was hungry. I wanted Trixie to get back to feeding me, so I tried to speed up her side of the process. To the shock of absolutely no one, except maybe Stupid, bless his soul, you can't breathe with a plum lodged in your throat. I immediately try to rectify my mistake in the only way I know how. Can you guess what it is? Drumroll, please. It's experimental magic. That's right, princess. Good job! You win nothing. When I realized Trixie was choking, I cast my unfinished vomiting spell I had been working on, don't ask. The plum, along with the rest of her stomach contents, were ejected from Trixie's mouthhole, covering our picnic in bile and partially digested food. Sounds like a mess, right? It got worse. As we've seen before, Omnitrix has an uncanny ability to die whenever she's in the process of being saved from dying. She's already begun casting the cloning spell before I made her spew, and she exploded before the plum even hit the ground. If that isn't proof that we're soulmates, I don't know what is. So, Trixie 3, aka Hatrix, was K. Our picnic was ruined, but that didn't matter to either of us. At this point, I can hear you asking, but Twilight, what about the cloud vomit? I'm getting there, Princess Impatience. Hold your horses. So rude. So, we were in the process of cleaning up the squicknick when I noticed something. There was a lot more bile in Trixie's vomit puddle than there should have been. After doing some non-invasive scans, the invasive ones came later, I realized that she didn't just throw up. She had expelled every ounce of liquid and semi-solid matter in her stomach. That's important to note, okay? All the stuff in her stomach was now out of her stomach. That gave me an idea. And I know what you're thinking. Twilight, you're dumb, and your ideas are dumb. And while those are both valid points, I never have been one to care about the quality of an idea until after the damage is already done. My idea was to create a way to deal with rogue clouds from the Everfree causing unscheduled rain over Ponyville whenever the Weather Patrol missed one. If I modified my still unfinished vomit spell, I could use it to get all the stuff inside a cloud to go outside the cloud whenever and wherever I wanted. In other words, I could make the rogue clouds blow their loads before reaching town, eliminating the problem entirely. As luck would have it, one such group of clouds was heading our way. If I had another couple of brain cells, I might have modified the spell and then cast it. In some alternative universe, that might have actually been the case. I would also be significantly less purple in that universe. Basically, the spell was keyed specifically to cause the target to expel the contents of its stomach. Clouds don't have stomachs, so the spell gave them one, complete with bile and random food bits, which they began to spray across the treetops. In addition to the stomach, the spell also seemed to have granted them a minor degree of sentience. Don't ask me how any of that happened. I genuinely don't know. Luckily, the clouds emptied themselves before reaching Ponyville. However, unluckily, their stomachs were now empty, meaning that they were hungry. They sunk low to the ground and started sucking up plants, animals, or picnic, pretty much anything in their path. They didn't seem picky. I could have tried to break the clouds apart before they did too much damage, but I don't think I need to remind you just how dumb I am. Seeing as they were now technically living beings, I had some reservations about ending their lives. It's weird, isn't it? I only seem to care about the morality of killing when the beings in question aren't capable of rational thought. If they could think and feel, you bet your ass I'd tear right through them without hesitation. Anyway, the cloud herd passes overhead and started vomiting the recent meal all over Ponyville, and then went back to giving everything the big suck. A couple of buildings lost some shingles, but that was about the worst of it in terms of structural damage. Oh, and we also lost a half dozen carts, 2 market stalls, and one of Pinky's hidden party stashes to the Cloud Vor, but those all can be rebuilt fairly easily. They were puked back up just outside of town, so that part of the cleanup was way more convenient than the houses covered in plants and forest animals. All of which were mostly uninjured, by the way. One thing I forgot to mention, the weather team tried kicking the clouds into pieces, but they kept reforming from their semi-solid cloud stomachs. It was fascinating. They eventually blew over towards the west, so it's not our problem anymore. The spell might fade, but I'm not too sure if it's gaining some sort of magical energy from temporarily consuming things. I really hope not. Otherwise, there's going to be a herd of vomiting clouds roaming across Equestria for the foreseeable future. That would suck. You're up, Chuck, fuck up. Twiant's fiction.
I also lost the kite I was trying to fly, but she didn't think that was important enough to mention. It was the kite that Luna bought for me when she was drunk offering stuff from catalog. I miss that kite. Love Anon. From Her Royal Highness Danger Rope, RE Letter 98.
To my most faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. As far as potentially disastrous spellwork goes, this is moderately benign, and I'm glad that your mare friend has avoided yet another unfortunate death. In the future, consider holding the food item and allowing the other pony to eat it in place, rather than inserting it into their mouth for them. And that's just the extent of advice I can give before I express a more pressing sentiment. What the fuck, Twilight? This isn't even a what were you thinking so much as just... I have no words. Twilight Spark, I have no words. This is something Discord might have come up with on purpose, but I think even he isn't too fond of vomit. I am seriously considering to asking Discord to train you in chaos magic because I am starting to believe that this would lead to fewer incidents. I'm probably not going to, and I suspect Discord's sense of self-preservation would prevent it anyway, but... my goodness! I'll just send some pony to take care of the cloud things. Your loving mentor, Princess Celestia. Dear Anon, I told Luna about what happened and she has ordered you a new kite. Your friend, Celestia. Dear Discord, my student accidentally created life again, and I would request that you find some place that isn't Equestria where that life may live in relative comfort. This time, it's vomiting clouds, and no, not the pleasant sort. Your unusual commission will be supplied at a random point between you considering and completing the task. This time, it's whatever I happen to find when searching for where Luna hid my snack cakes. That said, Discord, I am curious as to your interest in teaching. Penned by Her Royal Highness Celestia. I should have expected this from my student, but I didn't. I don't know why. I give her way too many chances, and I think I just need a little break. But before I do, I'd love to announce our very lovely donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresdon, Dospo, Runescythe 9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornell, Gaggy, Secret Moon, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, and Joe Piercy. Thank you all very much for listening in on the craziness of my student's letter, and I will hopefully see you all soon without a migraine.